I replaced a $5,000 monthly payroll with a $100 software bill. If you are waiting to hire a team before you launch your business, you are already behind. I know exactly where you are right now. You have a vision, but your to-do list is impossible. You need a copywriter for your emails, a designer for your content, and a virtual assistant to handle the admin. But when you look at your bank account, the reality hits hard. You can't afford them. So you try to do it all yourself and you end up burning out before you even make your first dollar. I spent 2 years stuck in that exact cycle. But here is the truth that most business gurus won't tell you. In 2026, the people keeping the most profit aren't the ones with big offices and 20 employees. They are the ones mastering the lean stack. In the next 14 minutes, I am going to show you exactly how to build a full-time agency infrastructure for the price of a gym membership. We aren't just going to list random tools you will never use. I am going to show you the specific workflow that replaces 3 core roles: the creative director, the sales agent, and the operations manager. You might be thinking, I am not technical enough to set up automation. Don't worry, if you can draw a line on a whiteboard, you can build this system. It is not about coding, it is about connecting the dots. Now, a quick reality check before we dive in. This isn't a magic button that prints money while you sleep on a beach. You still have to be the pilot, but this stack changes you from an exhausted freelancer doing busy work into a focused CEO making decisions. By the end of this video, you will have the exact shopping list you need to stop trading time for money and start building a scalable asset. Let's build your new team. Here is the problem with the traditional way of building a business. The math simply doesn't work for a beginner. If you are a freelancer or a solo founder, you have hit what I call the solopreneur ceiling. This is that frustrating moment where you realize that in order to make more money, you have to work more hours, but you are already working 10 hours a day. You are the CEO, but you are also the janitor, the salesperson, the customer support agent, and the content creator. When you stop working, the money stops coming in. That isn't a business. That is a high-stress job where the boss is terrible and the boss is you. So, you look for a way out. The standard advice from every business book written before 2023 is simple. Delegate. Hire people. They tell you to go hire a virtual assistant for $5 an hour or find a cheap copywriter on a freelance site. I tried that. And if you have tried it, you know the honest truth. It is exhausting. When you hire cheap labor to save money, you don't actually save time. You spend your day managing them. You spend hours writing instructions, correcting mistakes, and worrying about payroll. You end up paying people to do work that you could have done better yourself. Suddenly, you aren't building a product anymore. You are just a middle manager for a team you can barely afford. This is where most people quit. They are too burned out to do it alone, but too broke to hire the A players who actually solve problems. But here is the shift that changes everything. Most people are using AI completely wrong. They use tools like ChatGPT or Claude as a glorified search engine. They ask a question, get an answer, and move on. That is using AI as a tool. To replace a $5,000 payroll, you have to stop treating AI like a tool and start treating it like an employee. This is a mental switch. You don't use a hammer to run a business. You use a hammer to drive a nail, but you do hire a carpenter to build a frame. We need to stop looking for better hammers and start building digital carpenters. We are talking about AI agents. An agent isn't just a chat window. It is a system that knows its job, follows a procedure, and delivers a result without you holding its hand. When you set this up correctly, you aren't just saving an hour here or there, you are literally cloning yourself. You might be thinking, I am not organized enough to manage a robot team. But here is the good news. AI doesn't have an ego, it doesn't get tired, it doesn't ask for a raise, and it doesn't ghost you on Mondays. It just follows the workflow you give it. So, how do we actually do this? We need to break down your business into 3 specific roles. We aren't just going to download apps, we are going to hire 3 specific digital employees to handle the heavy lifting. Let's meet your new staff. So, what does this digital team actually look like? We aren't going to overcomplicate this with 20 different apps that all do the same thing. To replace that $5,000 payroll, we need to strip your business down to its absolute biological essentials. Every successful one-person business relies on 3 core functions: creating attention, converting that attention into money, and delivering the result. So, we are going to build 3 specific AI agents to handle these roles. First, meet your creative director. This isn't just ChatGPT writing generic robotic blog posts that sound like everyone else. This is a specific instance of AI that has been trained on your best work, your tone of voice, and your specific audience. Its job is to handle the blank page syndrome. It drafts your newsletters, scripts your videos, and repurposes your content for LinkedIn or Twitter. Cost? $20 a month. Second, we have your sales development rep. Most beginners hate sales because they think it means cold calling or being pushy. But your AI agent changes that dynamic. Its job is to identify leads, qualify them, and draft the initial outreach based on data, not guesses. It works while you sleep, ensuring you wake up to warm leads rather than a cold inbox. Third, and honestly the most important one, is your operations manager. This is the glue. This isn't a chatbot, this is an automation workflow. It takes data from your creative director and moves it to your social platforms. It takes leads from your sales rep and puts them in your CRM. It connects the dots so you don't have to copy-paste information all day. Here is the breakdown of the $100 stack. You spend $20 on the brain. That is your ChatGPT Plus or Claude Pro subscription. You spend roughly $30 to $50 on the nervous system. That is an automation tool like Make.com or Zapier. And you keep the remaining $30 for specialized tools like a database or a specific lead scraper. Now, I know what you are thinking. You are thinking, I have tried ChatGPT and it forgets what I told it 5 minutes later. That is the exact problem we are going to fix. The secret sauce here isn't the software, it is the context window. See, a human employee has a memory. They remember your brand values and that you hate using emojis in subject lines. A standard AI chat starts with amnesia every single time. To turn these tools into employees, we have to build what I call a digital handbook. This is a simple document that acts as the long-term memory for your agents. And here is the part that should make you breathe a sigh of relief. You don't need to know how to code to build this. You don't need Python or API keys just yet. If you can write a clear email explaining a task to a human, you can program these agents. The skill you need isn't coding, it is clarity. So let's start building. We are going to tackle the role that usually takes the most mental energy and causes the most procrastination, the creative director. The biggest lie in the content game is that you need to be inspired to create. Professionals don't wait for inspiration, they have a system. When I was trying to do everything manually, I would stare at a blank Google Doc for 2 hours, waiting for a brilliant idea to strike. I would write a sentence, delete it, check my phone, write another sentence, and hate it. That is the amateur approach. Your new AI creative director changes the game because it separates the idea from the execution. Your job is no longer to be the writer, your job is to be the source material. Here is the exact workflow I use to produce 5 newsletters, 20 tweets, and 5 LinkedIn posts a week, all in about 45 minutes. Step 1 is building the brain. If you open ChatGPT or Claude right now and say, write me a LinkedIn post about marketing, you are going to get garbage. It will use words like delve, landscape, and unlocking potential. It sounds like a corporate brochure from 2005. That happens because the AI doesn't know who you are. So we are going to fix that. I want you to open a fresh Google Doc. We are going to call this your brand voice guide. You only need to put 3 things in here. First, copy and paste 3 pieces of content you have written that you actually like. If you haven't written anything yet, find 3 posts from other creators that represent the style you want. You are giving the AI a pattern to match. Second, list your anti-vocabulary. These are the words you hate. For me, I ban the words game changer, revolutionize, and in today's digital world. I tell the AI, if you use these words, you are fired. Third, define your core beliefs. What do you stand for? For this channel, my core beliefs are action over theory, simple is better than complex, and honesty builds trust. Save this document as a PDF. Now, if you are using ChatGPT Plus, you are going to create a custom GPT. If you are using Claude, which I personally prefer for writing, you are going to create a project. Upload that PDF into the knowledge base. Congratulations. You just trained your creative director. It now knows your style, your rules, and your values. You have done the hard work once, so you never have to do it again. Now, let's move to step 2, the rough input method. This is the part that saves your sanity. Most people think they need to sit down and type out a perfect draft for the AI to edit. That is a waste of time. Here is a secret. You are probably a better speaker than you are a writer. When you talk to a friend, you are natural, you have energy, and you get to the point. When you type, you stiffen up. So, here is your new workflow. Once a week, I want you to pick one topic. Maybe it is a mistake you see beginners making in your industry. Maybe it is a story about a client result. Take out your phone, open the voice memo app, and just rant for 5 minutes. Don't worry about structure. Don't worry about ums or ahs. Just talk like you are explaining it to a friend over coffee. Then, take that audio file and transcribe it. You can use a tool like otter.ai or even the free dictation feature in Word. Now, take that messy, unorganized transcript and feed it to your AI creative director with this specific prompt. Here is a raw transcript of my thoughts. I want you to act as a senior editor. First, extract the 3 strongest arguments from this text. Then, rewrite this into a clean, punchy newsletter. Use the tone from my brand voice guide. Keep sentences short. No fluff. What happens next feels like magic. The AI takes your messy thoughts, your actual expertise, and structures them into a perfect piece of content. It sounds like you, but on your best day. It sounds like you after you have had 3 cups of coffee and 8 hours of sleep. Step 3 is the waterfall method. We aren't done yet. A newsletter is great, but we need attention on social media to grow. Most people try to write a tweet, then try to write a LinkedIn post, then try to write a script. They start from scratch every time. That is exhausting. Instead, keep that same chat window open. You just generated your newsletter. Now give the AI this command. Great. Now take that same concept and turn it into 3 LinkedIn posts. The first one should be a story. The second one should be a controversial opinion. The third one should be a how-to list. Format them for mobile reading. Boom. In 30 seconds, you have your LinkedIn content for the week. Then you say, now turn the strongest points into 5 tweets and 1 short video script for Instagram Reels. Do you see what just happened? You spent 5 minutes talking into your phone. Your AI creative director turned that 5 minutes of effort into a newsletter, 3 LinkedIn posts, 5 tweets, and a video script. This is how one person looks like a team of 5. You aren't working harder. You are leveraging your source material. And I want to pause here for a second because I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking, but won't people know it is AI? If you do this right, no. Because the ideas are 100% yours, the stories are yours, the opinions are yours. The AI isn't inventing the content, it is just formatting it. It is the difference between a chef cooking a meal and a waiter plating it. You are still the chef. The AI is just the waiter making sure it looks good on the plate. The I can do this moment here is realizing that you don't need to be a great writer to build an audience. You just need to be a person with a perspective. If you have an opinion and a smartphone, you have everything you need to build this engine. But here is the trap. Creating content is seductive. It feels like work. You see the likes coming in, you see the comments, and you get a dopamine hit. You think, I am crushing it. I am a business owner. But likes are not dollars. Comments do not pay rent. I have seen people build massive followings, 100,000 followers, and still not make enough money to quit their job. Why? Because they built an attention engine, but they forgot to build a conversion engine. They have the creative director, but they fired the sales team. Content is just the fuel. Now we need an engine to burn that fuel and turn it into forward motion. We need to take those people who liked your post and turn them into people who pull out their credit cards. And the old way of doing this was painful. It meant cold DMing strangers, begging for calls, and getting rejected 50 times a day. It meant feeling salesy and gross. But just like we fixed the writing process, we can fix the selling process. We are going to hire your second digital employee, the sales development rep. This agent doesn't sleep, it doesn't get your name wrong, and it doesn't get discouraged when someone says no. Let me show you how to set up the system that turns nice post into here is my money. Most beginners think sales means convincing people to buy things they don't want. That is wrong. Real sales is just finding people who already have a problem and showing them you have the solution. Your AI sales rep has one job: research. Imagine you want to sell a service. Maybe you are offering that newsletter writing service we just talked about. You could spend 5 hours scrolling LinkedIn, looking for CEOs, reading their profiles, and trying to think of something clever to say. Or you can use the research agent workflow. Here is how it works. First, you need a list. Go to a site like apollo.io. They have a free tier that is perfect for beginners. Search for founders in the industry you want to target. Download a list of 20 names. Now, we activate the AI. Take one of those names and their website URL. Paste it into ChatGPT or Perplexity and use this prompt. I am reaching out to this founder to offer newsletter writing services. Analyze their last 3 LinkedIn posts and their company website. Find one specific problem they seem to be having with consistency or clarity. Then, write a 2-sentence email opener that mentions this specific problem. Do not be salesy. Be helpful. The AI will browse the web, read their content, and come back with something like, "Hey John, noticed you launched the new coaching program last week but haven't sent a newsletter about it yet." Usually that means you are too busy delivering to write. See the difference? That isn't a template. That is an observation. It proves you did your homework, but the AI actually did the homework for you. You can do this for 10 prospects in 15 minutes. You aren't spamming thousands of people. You are sending 10 high-quality researched messages. That is how you get your first client. This brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the operations manager. At this point, you have content going out and leads coming in. This is where things usually break. You forget to reply to a lead. You lose track of who you emailed. You spend your Saturday morning copying data from emails into a spreadsheet. This is busy work, and busy work kills businesses. Your operations manager is simply a tool called Zapier or Make. Think of this as digital duct tape. It connects apps that don't usually talk to each other. I want you to set up just one automation today. Just one. Connect your email to a Google Sheet. Tell the system, every time I get a reply from a lead, add their name and email to this spreadsheet and send me a Slack notification. Why does this matter? Because it stops you from checking your inbox every 5 minutes. You can focus on your work, knowing that if a lead replies, your operations manager will tap you on the shoulder. It sounds small, but this is the difference between owning a business and the business owning you. So let's bring this full circle. We just walked through the architecture of a business that runs on a $100 budget but outputs the work of a $5,000 team. You now understand how the creative director handles the content, how the sales rep handles the research, and how the ops manager ties it all together without you lifting a finger. But I know exactly what you are thinking right now. You are looking at this stack and thinking, this is amazing, but it is a lot to set up. And you are right, it is a lot. Here is where most beginners fail. They try to build the entire machine in one weekend. They try to connect 5 different tools. They get one confusing error message, and they quit. They go back to the safety of doing everything manually because it feels familiar. Don't do that. Here is exactly what I want you to do right now. Forget the complex automation for today. Forget the sales bot. Just open a blank Google Doc and write your brand voice guide. Find those 3 examples of your best writing. List your anti-vocabulary. Save it as a PDF. That single file is the hello world of your new business. That document is the DNA for every agent we discussed. Once you have that, you can plug it into ChatGPT, Claude, or any future tool that comes out. It is the difference between a generic chatbot and a digital employee that actually knows you. 6 months from now, you could still be the exhausted freelancer doing everything yourself, staring at a blank screen at 10 p.m. Or you could be the architect of a system that generates revenue while you focus on the big strategic decisions. The technology is here. The cost is basically zero. The only variable left is you starting. If this breakdown was helpful and you want the exact copy-paste prompts for the sales agent we talked about, make sure you are subscribed. I am going to dive deeper into the specific lead qualification scripts in the next video. No hype, just the systems that actually work. I will see you in the next one.